What's going on, everyone? So the Milwaukee Bucks have officially been eliminated from the playoffs thanks to the Indiana Pacers. Now, for being honest, Milwaukee probably wins that series if they have Giannis and Dame fully healthy for that entire series. But still, this is an issue that the Milwaukee Bucks have, right? That's been highlighted. Giannis has been dealing with these injuries, getting to the playoffs now, consecutive seasons, lost in the first round as the favorite, consecutive seasons. Damian Lillard, he ends up dealing with an Achilles injury, which is an issue with a guy that you acquired that has had injury issues the last few years. He's older. He's only, going on the decline a little bit, right? He didn't have an excellent, Damian Lillard style season. He had games, he had moments, but overall was not who you expected him to be for the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's going to be really interesting to see what Milwaukee does this upcoming offseason. Like, what direction do they go? What happens with Giannis? Does Giannis want out, right? Now, obviously, this is a Laker channel, and I know people are going to be like, if Giannis wants out, we get it. Realistically, we don't really have a shot at getting Giannis. I don't really want Dame anymore after what we saw, although I do think Dame would be better with the Lakers than he was in Milwaukee. Same thing with Dame on Miami, right? Like, if Damian Lillard went to Miami in the offseason, I actually think you'd see more of, like, the classic Dame. I just think a lot of it was just the Milwaukee Bucks and then all the coaching issues. And then also Giannis and Dame just didn't really seem to understand how to make it work. They really just had struggles kind of figuring that out. Where I think if you went to, say, a team like Miami, I think, Miami would let him be exactly what he is. And same thing with the Lakers, right? Again, proper coach. But I think the Lakers would be like, hey, do exactly what you want. Right? We need you to be that scorer, to be that clutch guy, to be that guy that just drops 30 every night and can have the ball in his hands, play off ball at times, but for the most part, just be a bucket getter, right? But I would rather go younger, go get a Donovan Mitchell, even Trae Young at that point. I'm not huge on Trae, but at this point, I'd rather have Trae over Dame, right? I don't necessarily think, there's questions about like who would be better and whatnot, but I just think long term, Damian Lillard again. He's been dealing with injury issues the last few years. On top of that, he's only getting older. Giannis, we just don't have the assets. We have 3 firsts, 5 seconds. And, we do have like Rui and Reeves and D'Lo potentially if he opts in, Vando. We have guys that like could make sense and to match salaries. But a team like the Knicks could give them pretty much whatever they wanted. A team like OKC could basically double our package that we could offer and still have enough to go get another star if they want. A guy like Giannis, realistically, we don't have a chance of getting. But to me, I'm not really looking at Milwaukee's stars. Give me can we get like a Brook Lopez, right? He's on a reasonable deal. Like, can you go and get, maybe a Lopez on the cheap, right? If Milwaukee maybe hits the reset button or looks to retool a little bit. Right? It's just kind of a thought. Like, Brook Lopez, I think he's a guy, again, he's older, 36, maybe 37, but he still has shown that he can get it done on both sides of the basketball, right? He's a guy that I think could maybe make, a little bit of sense next to Anthony Davis. Ideally, I'd like him as like a backup, right? And go get like a younger center, but I just think at that stage, it's not like my favorite option, but like, let's say all else fails, right? Like, let's say we're not able to get a legit center anywhere else. If we could get Brook Lopez on the cheap, right, I wouldn't hate that idea. I wouldn't be like against that at all. But no, it's just kind of a thought. Another guy that I really like is Bobby Portis. Now, he's a guy more than anybody. Because again, you look at Brook Lopez, again, he salary-wise, he's making quite a bit, but he'd be on the end of his deal, so it'd be an expiring. You could work out a new deal later on if you wanted to, or, he becomes a tradable asset. There's a lot of value in a potential Brook Lopez acquisition outside of just the competitive play. But Bobby Portis, I really like the idea of Bobby Portis. So he'll be 30 in February next year. So he's still young. He's 29 right now. And he'd be so versatile off the bench as like a small ball center, power forward, right? Because he's got 6'10" size. He's got good length. He can do a little bit of everything. I really like the idea of Bobby Portis coming in. And he he's on like a real value contract. He's a guy, he's only making like 12.5 million next season. So he's a guy that I would definitely keep an eye on and look at. And then in 2025, 2026, he has a player option. But there were even murmurs about him potentially wanting to go to the Lakers on numerous occasions. So can you go and work something out to bring him in? Again, at 12.5 million, he would be very obtainable. I don't know if I'd give up a first for him or anything like that, but we have 5 seconds. Can you work something out to where maybe you could go get, trade a piece and go get whatever, 5 seconds, or not 5 seconds, 2 seconds, right? Something like that. 2 seconds and, maybe like a Jalen Hood-Schifino and, I don't know, some salary filler, right? Or work out in a 3-team deal. Like if you end up doing a trade for like Trae Young or something like that, maybe you work out some type of like where you're getting Milwaukee involved and maybe they're getting a piece that they want. Maybe you could get Bobby Portis, right? Like get creative. It's the offseason, right? There's a lot of possibilities, but Bobby Portis is the guy that I would really like to see maybe the Lakers pick up. I think he's a guy that you could have stick around for a couple years. He could start, come off the bench, right? Like so, if LeBron misses a game, you could start Bobby Portis right there at the 4 and play him alongside Anthony Davis. You still got to go get another center. He's not like he's more power forward than he is center. I do think in certain matchups, in certain games, like you could play him at the 5, but more than anything, I think realistically, you're looking at him as like your 4 guard. But those are the kind of the 2 guys that like I wouldn't mind the Lakers kind of keeping taps on. Like another guy would be like Chris Middleton, but I hate the salary in which he's making. I don't think he's worth essentially a max. I don't think he's a max level player. And I just think as like your 3rd option, he's good, but I would personally want to stay away from that, especially for what Milwaukee would want in any type of trade. And then outside of that, there's not really anybody that else. Like I wouldn't mind like Pat Connaughton, right? Pat would be a solid acquisition as well, and he's another guy that wouldn't really break the bank. And I believe he's on the same contract structure as Bobby Portis. So I think he has another year on his deal this year, I think at around $9 million. And then in next year's, he'd have a player option. So you could basically, I wouldn't hate getting both Pat and Bobby Portis. And maybe working something out to where you could land both of those guys, especially again, if it doesn't break the bank. Right, and especially with Pat, like he's 6'5", so he's got good versatility. He can play both guard positions, both guard spots. But he's more of like that dirty work hustle guy, right? The Lakers need guys like that. Now, again, he's not like an athletic. Doesn't have like this crazy hyper athlete that we need out on the perimeter. But he is a guy that has some level of athleticism, can defend multiple positions. He can handle the ball a little bit, right? He can make plays. He would be great off the bench. In that like dirty work, give me a guy that, sacrifices his body, isn't afraid of the moment, can do multiple things. Same thing with Bobby Portis, right? Give you a tough guy that can just kind of be an enforcer, do the dirty work, take charges, right? Like, I really like the idea of those 2 guys. It's definitely something that, maybe the Lakers could inquire about, right? Doesn't at least hurt, especially because Milwaukee's going to more likely than not have to make some adjustments, some retools, right? And so if you can land a Connaughton and Bobby Portis in exchange for something, again, as long as it's not breaking the bank, as long as it's not something that impacts maybe bigger grandeur moves, because the Lakers aren't going to do anything that affects that. So if you can do something where it doesn't do that and land 2 quality pieces, right? I think that could go a long way for the Lakers. I also think both guys would be great alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Again, and like a bench role, start rounding out your depth. If you have those 2 guys coming off the bench plus whatever else, I think you're in pretty good shape. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think like go get a Pat, go get a Portis, go get somebody that can come in, do some dirty work, work out a deal as long as it's reasonable? Do you think stay away from Milwaukee players? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.